People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, if you've been following the news and whatnot, footballers' wages, donations and the coronavirus are a lot of themes you're seeing. Again, I'm not telling you what to think, I'm not telling you what to say. I just believe moments like this show that football clubs do not give a fuck, pardon my language, about fans. There's this guise of football as a community and several teams have statements more or less saying togetherness. But when ish hits the fan, these are the sort of things that are happening. And I do think, I'm not saying all football clubs, because some football clubs are doing good things. All people within football clubs, apart from the owners, in my opinion, are doing decent things. Especially the people who are professional footballers who unnecessarily are targeted. They pay how much in tax. A lot of them have been doing a lot of things, like Jordan Henderson. When I see people like captains like Jordan Henderson and people say footballers are out of touch, it's fucking ridiculous. That is a man from Sunderland who's never forgotten where he's come from. He's doing a lot in his own way for the NHS already at Liverpool, but he's also someone who's been doing these sort of things since he's been at Sunderland. So when I see fans and people getting at players, I'm not telling you what to think, but I do think your anger is misplaced at them. Sure, they earn a lot of money. Sure, they can donate, but what about these clubs that pay billions collectively? How much millions, or in some cases might even be altogether billions in transfer fees, in agent fees, always announcing record advertisement and sponsors and kit sponsors and TV rights? Where is all this money going? Business has trumped morality for majority of football clubs. You see, in Liverpool's the latest team. I'm not saying it's just Liverpool, but they're the latest team to exploit the government scheme and things like that. And I believe that is disgraceful. Again, from a business point of view, when I take off my emotional hat, there's a rightly or wrongly, they're going to exploit it. Football is a business, no matter what we want to look at it. Football is a business. The clubs are seeing a chance to save money, and they're exploiting a government scheme that shouldn't need to be a thing with professional footballers, or at least the top end of footballers. If you're in League 1, League 2 and these sort of things, I can understand because the budget isn't as good. But Premier League clubs, when you're seeing Spurs utilise it, when you're seeing Norwich, now Liverpool, and there's going to be Newcastle, and there's going to be a bag of other teams. Apparently the Athletic expects about 10 other teams to go and do this. It's effing disgraceful. You look at Liverpool. Liverpool's a big club. I'm an Arsenal fan. I know how big Liverpool is. You hear Never Walk Alone. Yeah, it's nice to hear that you're trying to pay some fans and you're doing what you can, but it's disgraceful, people. Liverpool's a family club, and this is out of touch, especially after the emotional message Klopp said. People like Jordan Henderson. You know, Liverpool generally is a working class area, and these things are out of touch. And this tells you, not just Liverpool, but they don't give a crap about fans, people. We are the heartbeat of these clubs. They do not give a crap. They don't give a crap, because you got to remember, and obviously not always people are fans, but the people at ground level, the admin staff, the stewards and all of these other positions at Liverpool, most of them must be Liverpool fans, or if not fans of the game. We're all a family in one way, in that we're all football fans. They're not looking after them. They're just seeing, like I said, business is trumping morality. They're seeing a chance to cut savings. They're seeing the potential threat of losing TV rights, of losing added revenue because there's not bums on seats, and they're exploiting it. It's not just Liverpool. It's all these clubs, and it's effing disgraceful, people. Is it any surprise how you've kind of yesterday we heard Premier League captains on behalf of their team and whatnot were liaising with the relevant parties to to see what can be done in terms of donation and donating wages, and I'll get onto it, but it's hit a snag, people. And I really think you've got to also look at the Premier League in itself, the FA in itself, football club owners and them top levels in themselves, and the PFA as well, because what's come out from the PFA, really and truly, the PFA, who is the Footballers Union, in the same way, if you're a plumber or a builder and you know something happens with worker rights, you have a union rep or an organisation to go to. What guidance has been there from the players? And it's sad because a lot of these players from the jump started sending little donations to local communities, started giving money, started doing other things, people. Footballers might earn a lot of money, but many of them are working class. Do you think Jordan Henderson, Troy Deeney, forget where they come from? Joe Willock is a bit irrelevant in that he's not a captain, but go and listen to his comments on Arsenal the other day about estates and things. Do you think these footballers forget where they come from? Andre Gray and the rest of them. Robertson he obviously is from Scotland. Do you forget where they come from? No. Footballers are doing a lot, people, but they can only do so much. And looking at it, people, I think it's disgraceful. I think it's cheeky that they even asked to cut some of their wages. Donate wages, that's another thing. But if they're talking about the clubs are being effing feisty, people. Imagine you're exploiting this government scheme. You're not paying, or you're doing whatever with wages. You're cutting costs. You're saving money. And listen, without emotion and without this context, from a business proposition, that's what you've got to do as a business. But once again, business has trumped morality and just simple compassion and empathy for basic human people. Again, it's these owners you don't see at the forefront. How much billions is the Spurs owner worth? How much billions is the Brighton owner worth? How much billions is the Arsenal gaffer worth? Whether they're English nationals or not, how much billions are these people, from forgetting from football in most cases, their personal estate? And most of them are exploiting tax schemes. And then you look at, moving away from it, you look at the Amazons, the Google and companies like that who have paid tiny bits in taxes. What has happened? What has happened, people? Look at the billions these clubs have collectively amassed over the years, or millions, I keep saying billions, because of TV rights and transfers. Where's all the money gone? Suddenly you can't afford to pay staff. Again, if a government system's there to exploit, they're going to do it, people, and it's really sad, people. You look at it, Liverpool spent 43.8 million on agent fees between February 2018 and January 2019. That figure would keep around 500 of their staff on full pay for almost 10 months, people. Do you get it? So they're not thinking of the fans. They're looking elsewhere. And again, a team that, I'm not trying to beat the Liverpool stick, because it's a lot of clubs behaving like this, but it's a lot of clubs that claim they're for the community, claim you'll never walk alone, claim you're together in this. You're showing it. It's all good being together and stuff in times of good, but when it's adversity, when people are backed in a corner, when we're dealing with the crisis we're dealing with, when we're dealing with the impending recession that we're potentially with, people are losing jobs. It's times like this where you stand to be counted, and these clubs are telling you exactly what they think of you, people. They're telling exactly what they think of us. We know football has been out of touch with fans for a long time, people, but I really hope people wake up. Again, I'm not defending players. I'm not defending anyone. But the players should be the least people. It's the executives you got to go over. Yeah, you're hearing Karen Brady and these people say they'll match the players. Pay cuts and things. But why is it taking so long to come to this, people? Like I said, people, when you look at stuff like that, it's upsetting, people. In fact, I believe that could actually pay, that 43 million could probably pay for non-playing staff, people, for 28 months. Obviously, the last two Champions League finalists last year announced a combined profit of 129 million for 2018-19, specifically Spurs and Liverpool. Spurs claim to be a community club. Listen, I'm an Arsenal fan, but Spurs is round the corner, and I have a lot of Spurs supporting friends and people that work there, and I can tell you that is a community in the sense of local people working at that club, honest professionals. I know someone that's been working at Spurs generally in match day since before I was born, people. And now look, it's these sort of stories you don't hear about. These are the people that keep clubs going. Sure, it's the players that get fans into the ground. Sure, obviously the executives make the fancy decisions. But where would they be without the guys who cut the grass? Without the guys who cut the grass at the training ground? Without the masseurs? Without the chefs? Without the tea lady who's been working at a club for 40 years or so? Without the stewards? Without these people without the fucking cleaners, people? Because if you lot know, stadiums are effing disgusting. Imagine if they weren't cleaned. It's people like this that keep the club going, and you know, obviously they're looking at it is that they can just get other stuff and they're disposable. It's sad. People at this level in society, let alone football, people, they don't see us as humans. They see us as statistics and figures. And how can you expect morality from people that have probably never had to work an honest day in their life, people? They're not probably on the front line with like NHS people. They're not struggling where their next meal is going to come with. They're not staying up at night because as a result of this corona, they're losing their job and they've got 3-4 kids' mouths to feed and they've got limited savings that they're having to exploit. They don't have to go through these things, people. It is sad, people. And to hear clubs like Spurs and Liverpool, and again, not just them, are exploiting that to basically pay 80% of staff wages, it's disgraceful. Generally speaking, I don't think, if there's a thing to exploit, then you're within your rights to use it if it's legitimate. But this is poor, people. Like I said, business has trumped morality. Moving forward, the latest is the Premier League's hopes of striking a deal to secure 30% wage deduction or deferrals from players were in peril on Saturday night as footballers became increasingly concerned that agreements may benefit club ownerships more than non-playing staff or emergency services. Of course it will. If you're deferring payments, there's more money on the table for these owners to do what they want. If there's a way of donating these wages directly to the NHS, who, you know, should have, for years we said they're underfunded, and I'm seeing individuals in the political landscape who scream there's no money scheme, magic money tree, who scheme this and that. A lot of the things certain people were calling for in politics and people said are not available are now being thrown around left, right and centre. So it is quite ironic, people. I don't blame footballers to do this. Why would they? Because a lot of them are doing a lot of nice work and things, and they're being told they're not doing enough, or they're not doing anything, or they're out of touch. They are scapegoats. You're seeing politicians come out with this crap as well. Politicians who buddy with fellow politicians who exploit expenses, who rarely pay their taxes and do things like that. Bankers as well at top level. Not all industries should be demonized. Like I said, not all club owners should be. But you get what I'm saying? Hedge fund owners, you know, pharmaceutical and pharmacy owners and top people like that, business, venture capitalism, all the top sort of classes and top money makers. The politicians aren't coming out and saying that about them, but they're seeing footballers, they see footballers as less educated, as middle class, and they see them as an easy target. Look at, is it Matt Hancock or whatever his name is, man? He's getting at footballers. Is he getting at his friends, people? Is he getting at his friends? Let's move on. I can't blame them for doing that. This is all courtesy of the Athletic. It said, we are in full support of the objective of all remaining domestic league and cup matches from 2019-20 to be played in order to maintain the integrity of each competition. We fully agree with the principle that any return will only be with full backing of the government and when medical, I think this is from Arsenal, when medical guidance allows. I don't know why I think that's from Arsenal, but the point remains, people, I don't blame players for not wanting to, because on one hand, if I'm really honest, they shouldn't have to, you know. Listen, don't get me confused with donation. I'm not speaking about donating. They shouldn't have to do this 30% thing. The club's owners who for years are raking in TV rights, record sponsorships, from cryptocurrency to, you know, all these going to China and America and all of these things. Where's all this money now? It's them who should be doing this. It's them. I'm not talking about donation, but this almost goes along the lines of, if footballers don't, then people are really going to suffer, which isn't the case when these lot are effing rich people. And I don't even agree with always, I think with society, a lot of people project things onto people who are more well off as a sign of bitterness. There's every solution in life can't always be get it from the rich, tax the rich. It can't always be. And I'm not saying that. I'm purely getting at the owners of these clubs who are not on the front line, who many people can put a name to a face of an Arsenal player. How many people could put a name to face for Stan Kroenke? Not the best of example, but you look at someone like, I don't know, Spurs. You can name Spurs players. Does everyone know what Mr. Lewis or even potentially Daniel Levy look like? So these people are allowed to hide people. And this is why when I see players and agents rightly or wrongly demonised, I more likely side with them, because the clubs are just as crooked, people. There's so many stories I could tell you about professional footballers, young professional footballers being bullied, saying they're not going to get to play FA Youth Cup and do all of these things and train and do things because they're not signing a new deal. And then these same clubs will get on the blow and talk to their agents, will leak things into the press. These are dirty games, people. People don't see what clubs do. And there's a time and a date to speak on these sort of things, people. But teams have all agreed, or I believe captains have agreed on a 20 million donation to support the NHS as well, people. And like you see, players don't have an issue donating or holding back their wages, provided it goes to the relevant parties. The problem is when you, like you've seen with the government scheme, clubs have smart individuals that will exploit things, people. And moving away from that, people, I saw an article based on the Sun, and obviously I'm not going to read it, people, but if you look at Jacob Rees-Mogg, I can't even say his name, but the Conservative MP, I believe, he owns at least 50% of a company investing in businesses hit by falling shares. And that investment company has said it's a once in a generation chance of super returns. So what does that tell you? They obviously did, before I actually go on, this company's investments, where he's an owner, include private hospitals in Brazil, pharmacies in South Africa, and a firm that does scanning devices and checks people in China. So what does this tell you? They're going to make a lot of money off this epidemic. What does that tell you? These same people that are calling for footballers to do this and that are getting rich. and they're fleecing it. Look at these MPs. Is Mr. Matt Hancock or whatever his name is going to pull up Jacob on this? No, he's not, because they're probably all buddy in 10 Downing Street's locked off now, but they're probably all buddy somewhere right now, enjoying their caviar and things, and blaming footballers who at times, let's be honest, if you was to sit, I'm not saying footballers are stupid, but footballers are very smart. Even me, if you get me and you get one of these fancy educated people, you know, it might come across that I might not articulate my points or what I want to say just as well as my intentions, versus these people speak very good, know how to capture the audience and know how to twang them. Look at David, it's irrelevant, but look at David Cameron. He's someone that is consistently able to capture viewers, but look at the whole Brexit thing. We got in that situation because he gambled, like he gambled this country's economic future just off his own ego, that he could float that carrot and we'd still stay in the EU. Now, whether you believe in staying or going is another thing. My point is, again, these lot don't live in the real world. They just see humans as statistics and figures and case studies. So how can you expect morality from them? They haven't. They don't give a crap. Clubs don't give a crap. These MPs don't give a crap no matter what they tell you. Look at this whole clapping business. Again, I have nothing wrong with clapping for the NHS. I'm not getting at honest people outside their windows clapping for them. But this is the problem with British society. Rather than actual steps more time, we're convinced, we're happy with, you know, if it's not the clapping, it's hashtags. If it's not the hashtags, it's lighting up, you know, all around the world, lighting up famous landmarks. It's feel good, do nothing sort of stuff. And it's sad. It's sad when I see politicians. And you lot can see it yourself, politicians who voted against certain cuts, against funding things, clapping for certain people in society, whether it's bus drivers, NHS, Sainsbury's. It's effing disgraceful, and I do hope that they see all the nonsense they were coming with and fix up people. It's sad, people, you know, in relation to the Prem, the corona thing is one thing, but it's like, it almost feels like there's more problems now, because you're seeing the case of we're trying to, when are we going to play, where are we going to play, the safety behind it. And now it seems like, you know, the players and the clubs are at loggerheads in relation to how we can actually help. Like I said, I don't think the players have any issue helping. I would have an issue if, you know, it was a thing where my owners are seeing are cutting the wages and then doing what they want. If it's a thing where it's automatically going to an NHS or, you know, a little fund or something, that's different, people. And I can't blame players for wanting that, because they're seeing it. They're seeing it. I feel so sorry for, like I said, I'm not just these names, but when I think of community players, I think of Jordan Henderson, I think of Troy Deeney, I think of Marcus Rashford, I think of players like this who are doing what they can, and they're still told they're not doing enough. They're told, you know, it's sad, people. It's sad when it's not them. It should be the owners of these clubs that shouldn't even be shouldn't even floating the idea of utilising that government scheme. And certain MPs need to look at themselves before they start looking at professional football, really and truly, and go and look at their friends. But on that note, I've got nothing more to add, people. Deluded, I'm out. Thank you for watching and rocking as usual. Comment, subscribe, and do the rest.